Hi, this is Bob Weiss. I'm the host of Shakin Your World. Cheers. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Yet another episode of Shakin Your World. Here we are with Mark today, and Mark is going to talk about a couple of things. His background is 30-odd years in form of advertising and marketing, and then most importantly, from my perspective, we're going to talk about this lovely product right here, this 8-ball. Mark, welcome to Shakers.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time out to talk to us.
Thanks, man. Thanks for the opportunity.
So what did you used to do?
It's an interesting story how I got involved in this. A good friend of mine in San Diego called me and said, I have a little investment opportunity for you. And I'm like, well, I haven't lost any money with you yet, so what do you got? So he explained this to me. This was created by the guy that came out with all the hard seltzer drinks, Julian Hard Seltzer. Long career in the distributor business. And I'm not a chocolate guy, but I drank it, and it's really good.
Oh, I agree with that. It is incredibly good, and I'm really reluctant to bring on new products because there's just so much in the marketplace.
Well, it's interesting. I brought a bottle of this over to Dr. Clay's house, and he said, you know where this would be great at? Is down at Bob's at Shakers, because those guys are very creative down there. And I thought, maybe it works out great. So thank you for the opportunity.
Everything starts with a dynamic product, and you certainly got that. It's incredibly well balanced. You got the remarkable flavor profile. And again, I didn't want to bring this on, but we brought a case in, and it went almost immediately.
Nice.
And we posted a video recently of a Bradyn doing a cocktail with this. Michaela has created a couple of things. You've got a winner on your hands.
Yeah, thanks.
So let's talk about that. So, obviously you've got a variety of different components from around the world.
We are right now been overly excited about our distributor, Southern Wine and Spirits in the West Coast. We're in California, Nevada, it's killing it in Las Vegas, Georgia, Florida, a couple other states we're doing really well in. And they're getting behind it, except this COVID thing has been a problem.
Sure.
And as you know, that's kind of set out west. I summer here, if that's a verb. My wife is from here. I'm from Palm Springs. So I thought, well, we got to get this in Milwaukee. Would be a perfect place for this.
Absolutely.
And
people do like to drink here, don't they?
Yeah, they certainly do. And being a brandy kind of town,
Uh-huh.
I thought, well, this might work. And so I started nosing around a little bit.
Yep.
And we're now in the process of looking for a distributor to help us out. So problem we have without having a distributor right now is shipping costs, for one thing, get them out.
Yep.
Second of all is having a whole sales team out there behind you, obviously. So I'm looking forward to getting that part of it done.
Yeah, and obviously you can't get in a big house because then you're lost in the book with everything else. You don't want to be there. So the right boutique firm, I think I got a couple ideas for you. So we'll talk about that maybe after this point.
That's funny because I had that same conversation with a couple of guys back in San Diego today about size of distributors and how I don't want to get lost in the shuffle. Yep. And if there's a boutique type of distributor out there, for lack of a better word, I think that'll work better.
Yeah, I learned that as a very hard lesson back in 1989 when my foods went national, and we had signed with one of the national companies, but all they wanted to do was just bury that in the back anyway.
Right.
And so semis went to them that they just sat on. So, yeah, you don't want to get caught on that. But so where do you manufacture this? You have a rectifying plant?
In fact, it's interesting. We just had to move out of San Diego at a bottler there and took it up to a much larger bottler in Los Angeles.
Okay.
So we're getting everything done up there right now.
Sure.
They're really pleased about that move. We're running out of space. Guys are really working hard on it. As you know, I think we talked about this, but chocolate is such an oily product. It's really hard to get it to mesh with a bourbon. Yep. And it took these guys a couple of years to figure it out. So
sure. So what kind of chocolate are you using in this thing?
It's from where did we have that rum the other day?
Madagascar?
Madagascar. The chocolate comes from Madagascar.
Wow.
Thank you. So when I was reading the bottle there, I said, hey, we do chocolate from there. It's really good. The bourbon is, I can't tell you, being not the chemist that I'm not. But I have all kinds of information in here about that we can, if somebody wants to know about it. it's very versatile. I mean, I really like the booze. There's about a million different things you can do with it.
Yeah, amongst the product itself, which is standalone, I'm rather taken with the concept that you, as an investor, are out here hawking the product, because generally, the guy that's tossing money in something has nothing to do with any street action whatsoever.
Right.
So obviously, you're very committed to this, not just for the play with money aspect, which is cool. So the name,
And it's fun. It's fun doing it.
I bet it is.
Yeah, the name 8 Ball is kind of interesting. At first, when you told me about it, all kinds of different thoughts go through your mind, obviously. It's 8 Ball as being as mythical as something, don't get behind the 8 Ball. You know, there's a ton of sayings about 8 Ball, not just the drug part of it.
Not to mention the Magic 8 Ball, right?
Magic 8 Ball,
Sure.
right.
Yeah.
Forgot about that, right. So, and again, it was about that shelf over there getting noticed.
Mm-hmm.
As you can tell, there's lots up there. So it's like, wow, 8 Ball, that's different.
What's not up there right now is this product, because you don't have distribution here. So
Right.
we got to make it a point to get that in-house for you on a regular basis, because it just flies off the shelf. It's crazy, and it skews primarily towards the female audience as well.
Chocolate.
God bless that, right?
I love that. I'm not even a chocolate guy, and I like it, so they got to love it. You know?
So the synergy with bourbon, I think, is pretty interesting, because, you know, bourbons is the hottest growth segment going. Years ago, that was vodkas, but bourbons really are.
How long has that been
everything
happening, Bob?
8 years, 10 years maybe.
Okay.
Progresses every year. Numbers continue to expand every year exponentially. So I'm happy to see this, because you are taking that bourbon segment. So even that guy that doesn't like sweet things might be inclined to have one of these.
Right.
But really, women are just going crazy over this thing. The bourbon and the chocolate together, it's marvelous. And the name has grown on me as well.
Is it?
So we preface this as the Magic 8 Ball cocktail,
Nice.
and that kind of takes some of the drug onus off of that.
Right.
But, you know, there's that little piracy thing that goes on with everything, and that just
Sure.
moves contraband, and
Right.
I think this is part of that
Sure.
play. So what kind of joints are you looking for? Are you looking for just worldwide distribution? You're looking for upscale? You're looking for what?
I think that's kind of a two-part question.
Okay.
I think it works really well with creative bartenders, with places, the retail places that do that. That you know that when you go into a place like this place, I can ask for something different, and you might have it, as opposed to four joints down the block.
Right.
The big money obviously is in the big box stores, and the gentleman that's the president of the company has got a real good relationship coming through the hard cider world. So we're making great inroads with big box guys.
Yep.
There seems to be a lot of, they're obviously doing really well, the big box stores, because people are drinking at home. So, but it's hard to get noticed in those stores without having them sample at a place like yours.
Right.
And with this COVID thing, and just from a worker standpoint, from the bottler standpoint, from an employee standpoint, it's just been a very, very difficult time. We're in our third round of funding for it. First and second rounds went pretty fast, so I was real pleased with that. And it has everything, you know, for sale America. We're all about money. So somebody will pick us up, Diageo or someone will go, this will be a nice addition to our stable.
Yep.
Is what I think.
Yep. So in round numbers, how much is in play right now? That you can talk about.
How much is this bottle?
No. So how much financing do you have behind this right now?
You know what? I just got the latest numbers here, and I was just looking at them.
Okay.
We have. You should invest yourself.
One step at a time, my friend.
We have. I think the first round was just under $1 million, and the second round they wanted to get to 2.6 or some weird number like that.
Sure.
And I think they hit that. Now they're kind of stalled with this COVID thing again.
Right.
But there are a lot of people talking about it. And the first round of shares went for 50 cents, then they went for $1, and then they went for $2. And so it's all like, you know, get a buddy that says, hey, I got a deal for you. You get it on the ground floor, certainly, you know, a little bit better percentage making money on the thing. I think that's going to be the least of our problems. Is the money part of it.
I agree.
I think that
you know, if you get the kind of traction that you got going right now in this environment with the pandemic, I think the world is your oyster in so many ways. it's through these dark times that these things appear.
That's
Of
interesting.
course, they don't just appear, but they're on the scene, and you begin to catch that little wave going on. And then once the pandemic has finally run its course, whatever's going to happen with that, people already have this mindset, this is a product you have to have,
Right.
and you're going to fly. So I think you got a winner here.
I'll tell you also what it did, I think, and I'm sure all the guys that are involved in this right now won't admit it, but it gave everybody a little chance to take their breath.
There you go.
Because the first round out was very hectic.
Oh, yeah.
Bringing anything to market and to have it be as accepted as this is, it caused a lot of buzz.
Sure.
And so now it's like, okay, we outgrown our first bottler. We're into the big guys bottlers now, and take a breath. So yeah, I'm kind of liking where it stands right now. I just wish all the COVID thing would be over and get going again.
Sure.
You know?
So as far as the, obviously you did a phenomenal job of marketing casinos for many years, right?
Correct.
So is there any correlation between how you handled that business and how you're going to handle this business?
It's all selling, Bob. It really is. It really comes down to, it's interesting. When I started doing marketing programs for casinos, we started with Tribal because Tribal was just coming out. And Tribal went through some growing pains,
Sure.
and it became very difficult politically for us to build a business doing that. And I came from the radio and TV side, so we would actually do those kind of programs and present those to the casino guys, and they would go, yeah, why wouldn't I buy that, if it works? So what I learned through that whole thing is I can't really build a business in this political environment these guys are in right now. I know they will mature and they'll grow up a little bit, which they have. Meantime, I need to make a living and build this company. So we went to Las Vegas, and getting into Las Vegas is very difficult to do. I probably did 2 years of free deals there just to show these guys that, hey, our widgets work. So a couple of nice programs here and there, the word gets around, and 21 years later, there we are. So back to equated to this, I think, the product's got to be good. It's got to work.
All gets down to the product, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and you just need to be honest as you can about it. And say, okay, here's what it is. This is where I think it belongs, and what do you think? So it's been fun this summer walking it around in Milwaukee.
I bet it has been.
And Milwaukee's a blast in the summertime, by the way.
Milwaukee is a blast.
Except for this year, a little quiet.
By the way, it pairs nicely with cigars too. So, obviously more of that synergy here.
Sure.
Have you thought about taking this into a prepackaged cocktail? Because aside from what you've got here, I mean, we've been playing with this in the house, and it is an incredibly versatile product to work with. So that is a huge market that I think you should look at as well.
That's an interesting
Remake
idea.
Cocktails, get it out there, the sexy little thin cans. Here it is, picnicking, tailgating will come back at some point,
Right,
and sports
right.
will come back.
There's been a lot of ideas kicked around.
Sure.
Once they got the thing to mesh correctly,
Yeah.
once they got the product perfect, I think it is now, there's been a lot of different ideas thrown around the table.
Yeah.
We could do this, we could do that. I think it'd be a great idea. Don't need the Red Bull with this. It's chocolate, and I think it'll be a really good big box, nice item to have
Have
in
you
your
tried this
refrigerator.
with root beer yet, by the way?
With that what?
Root beer. Have you had this with root beer?
No,
I think you should.
That's interesting.
Pairs very nicely.
Really?
Really.
Where did that come from?
Shakers, of course.
Told you were creative.
What do they say?
I mean, there's 3 pages of
I see that.
compiled of
I-
recipes that these guys have put together. It's like, and you know what I like it with, and this might sound a little bit weird, but I like it with just ginger ale and ice. Because I'm not a big chocolate guy, just kind of like, ooh. Yeah, a lot of ideas, man. We're very pleased with where it's at so far. So just the distributor part of it is always an equation. And evidently Wisconsin is a very strange state when it comes to distributors, as you know. So we're kind of going to do everything correctly.
How long did it take you to get your tax stamps to this thing?
Well, we don't need to talk about that right now.
Okay. That's such an impediment for so many people coming out with spirits or beers or wines or anything. It is a far more cumbersome process than I think it needs to be.
I have a lot of lawyer friends, and I'm pretty good with the law myself. When I took a look at this, I went online, Wisconsin, and went through 7 or 8 pages of laws about spirits and distributing, and I walked away so confused, more than I was before I started this little process. So I don't know about the laws here.
I think that's the intent, by the way.
I think it might be.
Discourage as many people as possible.
I think it might be, but you know, you got to pay the government. We're okay with that.
Sure.
This is a promotional item right now, okay? And so we're getting around and talking to owners like yourself as a promotional thing.
So you haven't been bothered by the the family at all, have you?
No, not yet.
Okay,
not yet.
Part of the growing pains.
Yeah, I think it's going to be part of it. We're so poised, ready to have a good distributor and get through the whole legal part of this, and give everybody their parts and move on, and become on your shelf all the time.
Who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So aside from this, it's got to be tough living in 2 different places at the same time.
It's terrible, especially Milwaukee being so terrible in the summertime. It's actually been quite fun. I'll tell you the story. I'm a 30-year San Diego guy, and
Paradise, many would say.
yeah, I loved it. I got out of school, went to Southern Illinois University, and got one of those on-campus interviews at 5 a.m. in the morning with my red suit, and ended up at Time Inc. in Chicago, which give a kid a nice job and some couple of dollars in his pocket in that town, and it's very fun.
Great scenery.
I love that place. So did 3.5 years for Time Inc. and then was transferred to San Diego, and had not been there before. And as soon as I got there, I went, where are the buildings? About 2 weeks later, this'll work just fine. So got out of that publication business and went into the radio business a bunch of years. Worked for a guy named Bruce Walton, who was Bill Walton's brother, basketball player.
Sure.
He played for the Dallas Cowboys himself. He had a couple great stations. And meantime, the 1989, the telecom bill changed, and all hell broke loose in radio. So everybody was scattering for different things. I went to the dot world and ended up in San Francisco. Excuse me. It blew up, and so I'm walking the streets going, what am I doing now? Walking the streets unemployed in San Francisco. Nice move, Mark. A guy calls me, and he says, hey, listen, I got a little radio group in Lake Tahoe. Would you go up there and run it for me on an interim basis? Because it's one of those lovely jobs where you make $35,000 a year, and but it's all the skiing and golfing and everything. It's a lifestyle kind of job. So I did that for a little while. In the meantime, about half of the billing on the stations was from the casinos. So I got to know the casino guys, and that's how I ended up moving that part of my world into there. Back to San Diego, had this big shot house, and we sold it. Just got too big and too expensive, and it's so crowded there now. And thought, you know what? All the Weiss guys are moving out to the desert, so we got a place in Palm Springs, which I love, a golf course. And my wife is from here, so we have a home in Elm Grove. And so I thought, well, we could just summer in Milwaukee and live there in the wintertime. So it worked out really good. Thanks for asking. It's kind of weird, but people say Milwaukee. What are you thinking? This place is a little gem in the summertime.
It is. I've been around the world, and I like Milwaukee. I like the people more than anything else. It's it's convivial here in so many ways. But we've been here for 34 years, and that's because I've got a dynamic staff and great customers, and it just keeps working. And I want to make a comment here, by the way. So it seems to me that you didn't have any strategy coming out of school what you're going to do with yourself. And many of the people that come in to interview are that we find people that just keep falling forward well. And I think that's much life, is that to have not necessarily a game plan, but to have the ability
Yeah.
to move with the tide.
Make the right decisions.
There you go.
Life's all about decisions.
And even the wrong decisions, but you
Right.
know,
You learn from those.
You learn from those. For God's
Right.
sakes, we all make them.
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah, so this has been fun too. It's kind of taken me out of my little daily world of casino marketing. And the company's pretty much runs by itself these days. My guys want me out of it. And so when this opportunity came by, I thought, yeah, that might be kind of fun.
Cool.
The booze business. Nice.
Well, when this is back in stock, I'm going to play with this with ribeyes as well and do a sauce with this. I think it's got a real upside for potential with that. Maybe a touch of espresso in there, but I think I'm going to play with this a little bit.
Oh,
so
interesting.
And then one day we'll sit down and talk about sponsorship of this lovely program we have here with your product. So
yeah, do we need to talk about that now?
No, that's going to off camera, I think.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Kind
Cool.
of like the stamp thing.
Man, your best food experience anywhere in the world?
Best food experience in the world. You know, I still come back to Las Vegas. They have some fabulous restaurants there.
Yeah, they do.
God, I could go on and on and on about some of the restaurants there. The food that I've had here has been pretty exceptional too. So
Thank you.
your mushroom bisque was outstanding the other night.
Thank you.
It was very good. You've become known. In fact, I just was on the phone with a friend of mine. I invited him down here later, and he said, they got great food there, don't they? And I'm like, it's a bar, man. It's a bar. It's just, nope, they have great food. So, yeah, you know, as far as around the world, I'm sure, I mean, you've been everywhere. You seem to pick up recipes in the most unlikely places. Is that?
I look for, I don't go out looking for recipes. I look for, food, and I look for the connectivity with people. And some of the best food I've had has just been street food, quite frankly. But I just like the vibe. I like how it works, how it comports itself with that city or that area. And, some things just make sense to me.
But what TV chef do you like? What show do you watch? Any of the cooking shows on television?
I really don't have time for that. I would say, though, that, back in the day, the Galloping Gourmet was probably the first guy. I'd come home from school, and before I'd go out to play tennis or something, I'd turn that on for an hour and I'd watch the Galloping Gourmet. And that kind of resonated because not only was he drinking wine all the time, but he had lovely women in his audience that were just kind of feasting on everything he's talking about. I said, well, here's something.
Right.
Today's world, I like the old Alton Brown because I like the chemistry of that. I liked how that all kind of fit together. And I suppose Gordon Ramsay, if you watch his BBC stuff, he's not nearly as caustic. Yeah. He's a talented motherfucker.
He is a talent.
And he can dish it, man.
You know, and I still like the old days.
Julia Child. Jesus.
I don't know. Emeril Lagasse. I don't know. He's still. I have a funny story about him.
Yeah.
I was at old bar restaurant in New York one afternoon waiting on a friend of mine, and this bar restaurant, I can't think of the name of it right now, but it has a one-lane grass bowling alley in the middle of the restaurant. Only New York.
Shtick,
right?
Okay.
Right. So, and I'm standing at the bar. There's no chairs at the bar. It's just a long New York style bar. I'm standing there having a drink, waiting for my friend, and there's a guy on the other end, and we start talking back and forth, and I said something about Las Vegas, and he says, "Yeah, I have a restaurant there," and it was Emeril Lagasse. We spent 2 hours chatting across that bar. What a delightful individual the guy is. Just down home, ready to.
Got a bad deal with the networks at some point, but they all shake out that way at some point.
Right. So that was kind of fun from a food experience, meeting one of those guys.
Absolutely. Cool.
Gordon Ramsay. Wow. I always liked his stuff.
Absolutely. Just arrogant enough. So where do you want to be in 5 years? Retired?
Well,
you don't seem that kind of guy to me.
Nah, I think retirement to me is if you're doing something you don't like, that's work. Right?
There you go.
I kind of like what I do.
There you go.
So as long as I'm liking what I do, I think I'm all right.
That's why I'm still here.
Yep. You probably have enough fucking money to go away, right off in the sunset, but can't play golf every day, and I'm not good at doing honeydews, so I kind of like the way it's going so far.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any questions to the crowd? Anybody?
I'm sorry?
Well, your plans for marketing, Mark. What are you going to be doing here?
For this?
Yep.
Well, obviously the first thing is get a distributor, and help them as much as we can to get
Radio,
behind,
TV,
get
cable,
behind the
social media.
Yeah, all that. There's a whole marketing plan in here, but I don't want to bore everybody with it. But it's all the regular stuff. We have, being a marketing company. I mean, I could bore you for hours talking about how we're going to do this and that, and a lot of it all comes down to budget, how much we're going to spend on it, how what the markets are like, what kind of climate we're in at the time. But yeah, we're going to try to use everything. I think I'm learning that bars are such an interesting, tough marketing. I mean, because there's so much product out there, and so to get noticed was one of the hardest things. So just getting it into places like Shakers is very important, and somebody seeing the name of it and just taste it.
Well, as you know, word of mouth is the best thing there is.
Absolutely.
Guerrilla marketing is the thing that we specialize in and have for 40 years. I've been in this
You're very good at it.
Thanks. But at some point when you do have distribution up here, I mean, I've got a couple of shakerettes that would be phenomenal for you to do tastings with at different places.
Once we get up and rolling and get it all in place, and
Sure.
that stamp, just going to hit you up for that.
Yep.
Because that's the fun part of the world, to do stuff like that. And I think it'll be, again, if we can get people to taste it, they're going to like it.
I agree.
And see it places. Every place I've been to that I've given a bottle to, or guys have bought a case or so, it's flown off the shelves, like you said. And again, it was predominantly female. But then there were some guys who really like it too. So
a splash of that in a port or a stout, that's awfully nice as well.
Yeah, that's very nice. Yeah. Especially after a nice ribeye.
There you go.
Be very good.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're it's just so many ways. People ask me all the time. They'll say, I've got this business and I'm really looking for a really interesting, unique advertising campaign for it. Do you think you can help me out for it? Help me out with it? And after 30 years of doing this, there's no magic bullet. You have to do everything correctly. And I still love traditional media as much as I do the social and digital stuff. I think there's a place for all of it. There's a budget for all of it.
Balance is key.
Balance is key.
Yep.
And it's work. It's just get it out there.
Have your rappers signed up yet?
Have I what?
Any rappers signed up yet?
No. No, that was another interesting topic about who do you want to get behind it?
Yep.
I'm not quite sure how effective that is, but
did pretty well for Ryan Reynolds and that gin he had sponsored.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of guys that comes to mind where we're at the top. When I think about it.
Prosper 12 is doing nicely as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it obviously gives some credibility to the product? Anytime you get one of those guys behind it, and that's again. How much you want to spend on it?
They don't make a political misstep while representing your product.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yep.
I just have to worry about that. Huh?
Sure.
There's a ton of ways we can market this stuff, When you think about it, it's kind of fun. It's like the algorithm I had, the first car dealer, I tried to put it on the radio. What can I do for you? So.
Well, again, having the right product is everything. So
it certainly helps.
Cool.
It certainly helps.
Mark, this has been a pleasure. I'm glad you stopped by and took
thank
some
you,
time.
buddy.
And thanks for your product.
Thank
And
you.
we look forward to a long relationship.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thanks,
for
man.
those of you that tuned in, I really appreciate you taking the time out. And I hope at some point when you get this in your market, you do taste this. And I think one taste should be enough to hook you. But again, be good to yourself, be good to your friends, and of course your family. Thank you very much. Cheers.